The tragic death of Sharon Otieno, 26-year-old university student who was killed while trying to expose the governor who impregnated her. As Sharon Otieno sat pretty at Imperial Hotel enjoying a full-course 5-star breakfast on December 2017, she finally felt her stars were aligning. She was rich and now living like a real-life queen, oblivious of the fact that the man paying for this expensive lifestyle would months later turn against her and get involved in her murder. Reason being, she got pregnant for him and was on the verge on exposing him in the media. But how did it get here? Well, here's the gist. Well, Sharon Otieno was a 26-year-old beautiful damsel born in 1992 along the southern shores of Lake Victoria in Magar Village, Homa Bay County. She was the firstborn child of Douglas Otieno, a lab technician, and Melinda Auma, two humble humans who brought her up the best way they could until when she graduated high school with a C+ grade in her Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams. Having not met the pass mark to join campus, and awake to the fact that her folks couldn't afford college fees, Sharon Otieno traveled 46 kilometers to Oyugis town after lazing around at home jobless, where she had landed a job at an NGO as a casual laborer, away from her parents for the first time in her life. And bubbling with life like any other young girl, Sharon met Henry, a man who was overwhelmed by her beauty design. He used his all woo her until Sharon surrendered and gave in, leading to a pregnancy at age 21. Sadly, Henry turned into a deadbeat, running away from the new parental responsibility. But since another man's trash is another man's treasure, Sharon found a man who promised to step up where Henry failed. That man was Mr. Bernard, a math teacher at Rapogi High School, who promised to love her and her kid because Sharon was the most precious thing he'd ever met, despite her past. This melted the heart of Sharon, who had almost lost trust in men, but thanks to Bernard, her hope was now in restoration mode. And like a submissive wife, she blessed the young teacher with 2 daughters who resembled her beauty, and inherited their dad's brains. The two lived like a family at the teacher's quarters in Rapogi High School. This was until when Bernard decided to approach Sharon's parents in a bid to pay her dowry, only to be turned down. Reason being, the folks thought Sharon was too young to be a housewife, and rather preferred Bernard use that money to pay for her college fees, which they were struggling to raise as they enrolled her as a SSP at Rongo University Town campus for a diploma in health records and information systems. According to them, she was too young and opted he chipped in paying her fees. But when Sharon joined campus, she became wise. She slowly lost interest in the dowry payment, breaking the heart of Bernard. Disturbed and unsettled, Bernard rented a house outside their school premises. And after he'd settled his young babe in with their kids, he also turned into a deadbeat, leaving the lactating Sharon alone in their rented house in Kamagambo, Migori, in November 2017. Another heartbreak for Sharon, who was now living with 3 kids while jobless, forcing her to take her kids back to her parents' home seeking refuge as she planned her next move. This relocation was for her to get space to now look for ways to fend for her kids as she went to school, totally alive to the fact that from now on she needed to rethink better about her life choices, and especially her choice of men. She was 25 with 3 kids and nothing to show of it, so love was no longer what she wanted, but money, since she had little ones who depended on her. So being quite an ambitious lady, she asked a friend to send her a number and straight went for the top dog in the county, who was none other than the governor, Mr. Okoth Obado, a fine 59-year-old man. Right there in her rented room, Sharon filled the county boss' personal inbox with nasty messages and sexy pictures. The governor was like, "Hey, can you come to my office ASAP?" And boom, the girl walked her way into the office for an appointment, which unlike others was a personal invite from the boss's direct line. Sadly, Obado was preoccupied by county matters and didn't manage to see her. A disappointing first date, which was made up for days later in Nairobi, when Obado invited her for a date at Intercontinental Hotel, after he reached out and found out she was also in the city on personal matters. As the adage goes, the rest was history. Obado looked at the curvaceous body, skin tone, ass, and was intrigued. This one I must bite. Obado completely forgot about his beautiful wife Helen and had an affair with Sharon. And just like that, Sharon now became part of his life because the way she was serving the honeymans had never felt like that before. Several meetups all the time, And in return, Obado funded her lifestyle with expensive dates at hotels. When the boss was in Nairobi for official duty, he made sure he flew Sharon to Nairobi just to provide the governor some boobs to lie on after a hard day's work. Because according to Sharon, money was not the problem to her new man, who made sure she was moneyed just like him. Something she shared on her Facebook page. The affair went unnoticed for a while, with their favorite spot being Imperial Hotel Kisumu, until when a worker in the posh hotel betrayed their privacy and informed Helen about her husband's alleged marital affair in April 2018. Helen Obado confronted her husband about Sharon via a direct phone call, but Obado denied the allegation. He denied knowing a lady by that name and in fact reassured Helen that she was the only love of his life, oblivious of the fact that Sharon had now fallen head over heels for him, ready to be his second wife. Either way, he still denied any knowledge about Sharon, hoping that this was just another one-time affair like the rest. Ooh, no. Sharon was not of that school of thought. In her mind, this affair was as serious as it could be, and that's why she was already getting herself accustomed to the wealthy lifestyle. Moreover, she was now feeling kicks inside her belly with morning sickness, something she hoped would change her life because having a governor's child is everything. So she kept it a secret until it grew to confirm, and when it did, she texted the governor to tell him of their new blessing and bundle of joy. But just like her two ex-boyfriends, when the governor heard the news, he went MIA. He ignored her calls and text messages, something that made her run into panic mode that would further dent their relationship, because she texted Obado's son telling him to tell his mom that she was carrying their brother. I mean, who does that? This infuriated Obado, who interpreted it as, maybe his son was also having an affair with Sharon, because why else was she talking to him? Obado then swore never to talk to Sharon, but sadly the news of the baby had already reached his dear wife Helen, who confronted him yet again during their son's graduation party. This time he accepted knowing her but claimed to have called off the relationship, which was actually true and which infuriated Sharon, who couldn't believe taking a fourth child home. She sought help reaching out to him again, but now the only answer he gave was through member of county assembly, Mr. Waso. $30,000 for her to procure an abortion, which she refused. Instead, she wanted the governor to buy her a $25 million house in Nairobi or Kisumu, grant her $5 million upkeep money for the baby, and buy her a car similar to befitting the status of a governor's wife. Obado vehemently refused these exorbitant requests and instead offered to build her a shillings $4 million home and furnish it in the county. An offer she agreed to and message delivered to Obado. However, before Obado could actualize on this plan, Sharon demanded 200,000 shillings up front for prenatal care in Nairobi, because as a babe to the governor she traveled by air since they started dating, and also she couldn't receive the antenatal care in the county public hospitals when the father of the child is the county boss. Failure to which she would expose the governor via Barrick, a Nation Media Group journalist whom she had told about the alleged affair and wanted him to write about. A demand that further infuriated the governor, and probably signed her death warrant, because as soon as she got the media involved, the stakes went high. The governor, through his PA, set a meeting with Sharon and Barrick at Graka Hotel Rongo, where the two thought he was seeking audience to settle this matter, but later found out it was a trap and near-death experience for Barrick, who would hours later jump out of a moving car after being kidnapped by Obado's PA and his men, injuring himself severely. As for Sharon, she would not be lucky enough, because the thugs first sexually abused her, then stabbed her 4 times at the back, 3 times on the neck and once on the left side of her abdomen, and later strangled her. Her 7 months pregnant, lifeless body would later be discovered at Kodera Forest next morning. Governor Obado would later be arrested after Kenyans made a lot of noise concerning this femicide, but still Obado maintained his innocence in this matter. Sadly, Kenya is a rich man's country, and through his pockets, he regained his freedom. And now walks close to the president, having been appointed to serve in his party as manager. Sharon, on the other hand, continues to rest in peace with the case prolonging.